Welcome to Organizing with Ease, where we simplify and organize our lives for the better. I'm Deanna Mall, your host, here to guide you towards a more organized and enriching life. Together, let's explore practical strategies, inspiring stories, and expert advice to simplify every aspect of our lives. Are you ready to embark on this journey with ease? Let's start.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the special July 4th edition of our podcast. Today, we're excited to bring you an inspiring episode that focuses on creating a life filled with joy and purpose and success. As we celebrate Independence Day, it's a perfect time to reflect on how we can gain personal freedom by taking control of our routines and priorities. Our guest today is Laura, a renowned expert in helping people design their lives around what truly matters to them. Before we start our conversation, let me share a bit more about Laura's impressive background and journey. Laura has landed speaking engagements at Empower Women's Conference, Reclaim Women's Conference, the National Association for Parents of Multiples, the Mid-Atlantic Parents of Multiples, and a keynote for the Project Managers Association, among others. In addition to her extensive experience in personal development training, she has worked in public relations and sales training, where she delivered the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a program she developed called The Human Touch. She was a certified on-purpose person mentor and has been a certified passion test facilitator since 2007. Laura holds a bachelor's degree in business from Indiana University. A self-professed learning junkie. I like that one. That's awesome. Laura loves personal development and sharing the things she has integrated in her life and with her clients and the programs she develops. Since 1994, Laura has studied and trained with masters including Janet Atwood, Jack Canfield, and Patty Aubrey. She believes investing in yourself is the best investment you can make and consistently does so. Laura resides in Roanoke, Virginia, with her husband Steve and 2 dogs. She's a mom of 3 amazing young adults, including twins. Congratulations. When she's not helping clients live a life of passion and purpose, she stays busy as a freelance writer, community volunteer, avid reader, and loving wife and mom. Welcome to the podcast, Laura. So, to get us started, could you just share a bit about your journey and what led you to become an expert in creating successful routines and finding joy and purpose in daily life?
Yes. Well, thank you, Diana. I'm really excited to be here with you today. So thank you for having me. What started it for me was I started my personal development journey in the mid 90s. So that tells you a little bit about my age.
No, no, no.
But and I have loved it ever since because I
Oh, okay.
had a transformative experience. I went to an experiential training, and over that time, I realized I wanted to be the person in front of the room that was helping transform people's lives because it had such a profound effect on my life. And so that's what got me into that field. But what got me into the passion and purpose is I always kind of had a thing for that, like for passion and living a passionate life. And then when I was a stay-at-home mom with my 3 young children, I had 3 within 2 years and 6 weeks because they were twins a second time. So I was home with them. I wanted to be home with them. I was so excited and felt so blessed that I got to be a stay-at-home mom. And at the same time, I felt like something was missing.
Okay.
And
Yes.
I
I think
wondered
we
what,
feel a lot about that. Yes. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
common experience and then I felt guilty because I felt like something was missing when I had
Oh,
these
yeah.
3 amazing children. And so what happened was I found out about the passion test, and I thought, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to take the passion test and see what are my top 5 passions. So of course, my children were in the top 5 passions.
Of course.
But
But of
and
course.
yes, of course. The 5th one, though, I wasn't living in my life at all in order of importance. The one that was number 5 was empowering people, especially women, to live lives that they loved and to love themselves, to listen to their hearts and be true to themselves. And so I had been doing that. As you mentioned, I'd had a career where I was in corporate training, and I always added a personal experience and personal development component to all of the sales training that I did.
Right.
And I missed doing that. I missed sharing that and inspiring, encouraging, motivating, and lifting people up. And so I added that back into my life as a passion test facilitator. And that's when I started noticing, so what are the things we need to be doing on a consistent basis in order to create a life that we love?
Yes. And it's so, so true, right? Especially if we are stay-at-home moms. Well, I call it the CEO. We are the CEO of the household. That's what I call. I gave myself a title because in my prior life, I was in corporate America, so everything is titled, right? You always have these titles, so I had to keep that up. So you're absolutely right. Like when you are at home and you are with your children, that's what you want to do, but you feel like there is that extra need, right, of wanting and doing and something and being fulfilled. I mean, and that's actually what, and I just think that's amazing. So could you walk us through a morning self-care routine that you believe is really essential for
Yes.
starting a successful day? I mean, even like for ourselves, even if we are busy moms and we are working, or the moms that are at home that, that are stay at home, is there some morning routine that they can do on a daily basis so that it's all about them?
Yes. I created a program called Go JAMM, and it's an acronym. So I'll share with you what each stands for. And
Okay.
I want to preface it by saying it's great if you can do all these steps and don't feel overwhelmed and think you have to do them all. Okay. But if you can pick and choose the ones that might help you the most, get at least getting started.
So it's
I say
go jam, JAMM.
yes,
Yes.
JAMM.
Very okay. All right.
Because
I'm
it's
excited. I can't wait. I can't wait.
yeah. So the first one is G for gratitude.
Okay.
And I like to have a gratitude journal and just keep my gratitudes in that. So, like every day, write down 3 to 5 gratitudes. And the reason I like to have it as a separate journal is because then I can flip back through it on those days where I feel like, what's going on with my life right now? Because we have those days. Look back
Yes, we
and
do.
see, yeah, what have I been grateful for? And remind yourself of all the things you have to be grateful for, because that raises your vibration and gets you in that positive mindset to proceed with the rest of your day. So gratitude is the first one. The
Okay.
O stands for outside. Now, this is actually 2 things. It's outside influences. So what are you allowing in from the outside? And the more that you protect what you allow in from the outside, the more you can maintain your inner direction and and focus from the inside out instead of from the outside in. Because we get told a lot of things we should be doing from the outside.
Yes.
Social media, watching the news can create fear and raise our cortisol levels and change our focus from what we do want to what we're afraid of. So it's really important to notice those outside influences and protect those, protect what you're letting in. And the other part of outside is get outside, because being outside in nature is a great
Yes.
way to ground ourselves,
Yes.
and to remind ourselves of the miracle of life. Because it's all, when
Yes.
you're outside, you just see it everywhere and you notice it and the beauty, and it just that also elevates our vibration.
Yes. And I actually have to say, I truly believe in that outside your O, not only with the gratitude, of course, with the G, but the O really, because I walk around the neighborhood and I do my walk talks, but it just so is up. I mean, like, even like at the moment where you're just hearing the birds singing,
Mhm.
right? Just like that nature, just that moment of just freshness, right? I
Yes.
mean, it makes it's such an impactful moment that you just have to take on. I mean,
And
and it's true. But the thing is that you just have to start. That's the problem. You have to start to do that. Yeah.
right. And you can start with 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to, you don't have to say, I'm going to go walk for an hour today. I'm going to get outside for an hour. Just 5 minutes. One of the things
5 minutes.
I do,
Yes.
because sunlight also helps reset our cortisol level after we've been asleep all night. So going out in the morning before I have my cup of coffee, and I just spend a few minutes. I do a little meditation, prayer. If the weather's good, my feet are on the grass, my bare feet are on the grass, and just ground myself in that moment and allow the sun in, and give myself those few minutes to connect with nature, hear the birds, and center myself, ground myself in that moment.
Like that. I will actually will take that on. I like that. I like the moment that you just said that you just stood outside with no shoes in the grass, feeling the nature. And I'm going to take that note on. Yes, I am. I like that. Yes,
Great.
I do.
Well, I look
Because
forward
I
to
really
seeing.
believe in that. I mean, and so
Yeah.
just to let you know, I mean, I know we've talked to this about this before, but for me, it's taken me a while to get into the meditation and the journaling and things. So it's not an overnight, like 1, 2, 3, like you have to. So I know from my personal experience, how I've started, it was also like you had mentioned, very slow and very gradual. And I
Mhm.
like to add on. So I'm actually going to now add on for this outside, and I'll stay tuned on that one. Keep you posted on that one. So
I
yes,
look
thank you.
I, I look forward to hearing how it impacts your life.
Yes.
Um, so then
So now we have now the J.
the
J.
J
Yes.
is for journal, which you just
Oh,
mentioned.
okay. Okay.
And I've worked with clients who have a really hard time journaling. They don't like to write. They just like that's just one of their things they don't like to do. So some people do like to do it on the computer instead. I personally, and based on what I've read, recommend writing it out by hand if you can. If it's going to keep you from doing it, then do it on the computer. If that's the only way you're going to do it. However, when we write with our hand, we actually activate different parts of our brain and it embeds it more. So we write, we get out our emotions. We're more likely to go with the flow, and it goes through us, flows through us because we actually have that hand movement. So it's a very different thing. And you could write out and journal how you're feeling, process your emotions. You can release limiting beliefs because as you write, a lot of times they'll come up for you. And so noticing those, something you might not have realized that you were thinking about a certain subject will start to come up the more you write about it. And then you can also write out your affirmations. You could just brain dump, just get out what you need to get out so that you can focus on your day, clear your head and focus on your day. So you can use it in a variety of ways. And I don't do any one specific thing. I allow whatever comes through me that day to come through me, whatever I need to have come up, whether it's a brain
Okay.
dump, feelings that I have about something that happened with one of my children, you
Great.
know,
So now do you
creative
do this
ideas.
then? So do you journaling then in the morning or do you do it at night?
I do mine in the morning
Okay.
as often as I can. There's days that, my day starts out hitting the ground running and I don't get it done those days. And sometimes I don't do it. I'm not going to say I do every one of these every single day. I just know when the more often I do them and the more of them that I do, the more I feel like I'm ready for my day and that I can focus on the things that are the most important. And the journaling can help you do that. It can help get some of the things out of your head onto a piece of paper so that you can focus on the things that are important to you.
And so we have then, so that we have that was the J, journaling. A is
Is affirmations.
affirmations. Okay. And
Affirmations.
then we have the M.
And M, the first M is for movement. So you want to move your body throughout the day. I like to call it movement instead of exercise because we sometimes have a negative connotation with exercise, but movement is a joyous thing that we're blessed that we can move our bodies. And so in whatever way you can, whatever capacity works for you, move your body throughout the day, but especially if you do it in the morning, it wakes your body up, it wakes your brain up because you're getting oxygen to your brain. So that's and again, it can be 5 minutes. If that's what you can do, it's 5 minutes, do 5 minutes. If it's in a chair and you're, lifting your arms over your head, or if you can dance, whatever works for you, just get some movement in to get your body movement and getting the oxygen flowing to your
So what
brain.
is it for you that makes your body move? Like what is something that you do that you like to do, and it's like a daily, or do you change off? Do you change off?
I change because,
Okay.
well, I for a couple of reasons. One, I get bored with things, so I change it up because I get bored. And the other reason is because I really think that our bodies need variety, and I think for us to be in functional fitness over time, it's important for our bodies to be able to move in different ways. So I do yoga sometimes, I dance sometimes. This morning I did my fit body. So I go to the gym and do a 30-minute high intensity training workout. Um, and I can't do that every day. That does not work for my body. So I have to change it up. And the yoga helps with, it helps me stretch and release some of those muscles that I've been strengthening doing the Fit Body.
Right. No, I think that's really important. I really do. I think the alternating is good because I'm the same way. I get bored. So if it's the same thing all the time, I know for me personally, it won't last. Like, and I want to make that last. So that's why I alternate as well. So yeah, that's a good one. I like actually how you said you did your 30 minutes. 30 minutes is great. I mean, that's all you need for the CrossFits, right?
Right. Right.
Right.
And some of these can be combined, like we were talking about earlier, walking and being in
Yep.
nature. So you get both at the same time.
Yes,
So
that's true.
you can also double up on some things when you're journaling, write your gratitudes, and if you don't want to do a separate journal for your gratitudes, just write it in the one that you're journaling in.
Well, yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think that would resonate with a lot where they only have just one place to write as opposed to two areas, because a lot of times that might not be, or if the kids might take one and you're like, no, that's fine. Those are my notes. Right.
Yes,
And
it
what if,
helps to have a special place where you
yes,
keep this, and you have a place where you sit every morning and do the routine.
yes, no. And what about the final M? Where does that one?
The final M is meditation. And like you
Okay.
said, sometimes that is a challenge for people to quiet their mind. The great thing is you don't have to actually quiet your mind because the thoughts are going to come in. It's
Right.
allowing them to come and go.
Yeah.
So not obsessing about one particular thought when it comes to you, like we can do sometimes during the day, right? So allowing yourself to be in the silence where you're not being distracted by other things to see what does come up. Because again, just like I said with the journaling, when you're meditating, the thoughts that come up are ones for you to notice. Like notice what comes up for you. Even if it's I'm bored meditating. So why are you bored? Why is that coming up for you?
Right.
Are you trying to avoid something? Or is this really not your thing? And pay attention to that and see. And meditation can be one minute of silence. Just because we take so little time where we're not having something coming at us in these days, that it's really important to just, carve out that little bit of time where you can be in silence and not be listening to something on your earbuds and on the,
Yes.
scrolling through your social media, and let yourself listen to what's coming from inside of you.
Yes. And I'm glad you mentioned 1 minute, because I think there's a lot of us out here that just think that meditation, it takes at least a half an hour, but in reality, it really doesn't. So like I know I've shared with you my meditation, when I started, my husband would always interrupt. And I've shared this with numerous times where I would actually have to have my hand out and just be like, no, this is my time. I have the door closed. There's a reason for that. I just need this moment for myself. And so now over time, he now understands door closed, don't walk in, because I literally had to put that boundary there because otherwise it would never have worked. So I don't know, do you see right? You have to set the
Yeah.
boundaries. You have to
Yeah.
set boundaries.
And honestly, when my children were little, they're 20 and 23 almost this month. And when they were little, I would get up earlier to do this, right?
Okay.
And one of them would decide to get up earlier. And I'd be like, how is this even possible? Right? Like, I mean, I purposely am getting up earlier than any
Earlier,
of you
right.
ever get up. And it was like they have this inner knowing, just like when you're on the phone, right? They need you when you're on the phone. And so I started doing it in my room so that instead of leaving my room where
Okay.
they I guess, I don't know, felt that I was awake in the hallway, sitting in the
Yeah.
hallway in my meditation chair. So I started, and I still will sometimes do my meditation before I leave bed. I will get up, go to
Okay.
the bathroom, come back to bed, sit up so I don't fall back
Yeah.
asleep, and do my meditation, affirmations, and visualizations right there before I get out of bed.
Mhm.
Because once I get out of bed, now it's my dog that wants my attention as soon as I get out of bed. So just seeing what works for you. And it's great if you have a special place where you can go. And if you need to do it before you leave the bedroom, then do it before you leave the bedroom and have that time to yourself. And it made me laugh when you talked about your husband, because my husband is really well trained because he doesn't even kiss me goodbye if he's leaving and I'm in the middle of a meditation. So, and I try not to plan it where he's good, but he leaves at different times every day. So I don't really
Right.
know. And so he's like, oh yeah, I didn't kiss you goodbye this morning because I saw you were meditating.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
Yes.
so he's trained almost too good because
That is that's a true train. Like that's actually like really true training. Yes. I still have to still, even with the door closed, I still get that peek in, like can I come? I mean, now I have, now it's gotten to the point where like, okay, fine. Well, now, now it's summertime and all kids keeping it going. So now I just either put like a sticky or I just do it, lock the door. So yeah, so you have to, I guess, find your way just to make that time for yourself. Right. So, I mean, I believe in that truly. I know I have a client, and she actually is working on trying to get a Zen room for her. And so because she feels that the Zen room is for her. And I think that's actually amazing that she's
Mhm.
actually thinking about creating one of her rooms just for her and
Yes,
calling it the Zen room. I think that's important
I love
because we
that.
don't we don't we don't take too much care of ourselves sometimes, right? It's always for others. We always serve others.
Yeah, and I think, it's important for us to carve out that time and commit to it because that's we can find all the excuses in the world not to, follow through with something that we say we want.
Yeah.
Um, and to me, one of the things that helps with commitment is knowing why are you doing it? What is your why? So when you have that and you write it down somewhere, you can refer back to it and remember that that is why you are doing it. Like I'm sure you talk to people a lot about why do you declutter? Why do you organize? And there has to be a reason usually beyond the actual action of doing it. And it may be because you want to be able to spend time with more time with your family. And when you're disorganized, it makes it harder to do that. So knowing your why is a big part of committing to yourself and your self-care so that you can live your passions and your purpose and focus more on what you do want in your life instead of the things you don't want.
Is that how you work with your clients? You help them find their why?
Yes, I work with mostly women. I work with men on a referral basis only,
Okay.
but I work with women who um, they may feel a little overwhelmed, scattered, unsure, or just ready for the next level in their life. Like they're ready for something to change, and they may not be sure what it is yet. But I help them figure out, well, what are your passions? What is your purpose? And how can you prioritize those things in your life? So we look at their core values, their core desires, and core desires are what do you want to feel? The values are your principles, and the desires are how do you want to feel at the end of every day? What's really important to you? Because there's some things that are common for all of us, but there's some things that are very specific to each individual about what's the most important things and how they want to feel every day.
So from your experience, what has been like one of the common denominators of the why they don't start anything? Has there been like one that actually just pops in your head right now? Like one of the whys that why people do not do a why not? Like
Of why they don't
yeah,
do
like a
something for
why
themselves.
they don't, right? Yes. Why
It's
not?
usually
Yes.
because they feel responsible for somebody else. It's their
Okay.
children, or in our generation, we also have we're being caretakers for our elderly family
Yes.
members.
Yes.
So a lot of times I just don't have time to do things for myself. There's just no time. So it's using time as an excuse, which is easy to do. Totally.
So
I
easy. It's
get
like
it.
it is such the escape, right? I don't have time. I can't do it right now. Maybe later. I might think about this later. Maybe, in the afternoon. Yeah. Well, the afternoon's come and gone and now it's nighttime. And then here comes a new day. Oh yeah, no, I think I can do that, right? Is that how your clients think about that as well? Because I have that too with my clients. Yeah, no, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. Well, when are you going to get to
Right.
that, right?
So one of the things that I like to share with people is that even though it feels like, especially the self-care things that we do, but prioritizing our passions and our purpose, when we do those things in our lives, at first it feels like we're adding more to our to-do list, right? We're like, it's one more thing we have to do, but it's not that you have to do it. It's that you get to do it for yourself. You get to do this for you. And when we do that, time actually feels like it expands. I know in reality it's not. We're not adding another hour to the clock.
No.
We are though we're raising our energy level, we're raising our vibration, and that gives us the energy and the feeling of expansiveness that time also feels like it expands for us. And that's why I think it's so important for people to focus on those things first, because at the end of the day, those are the things that are most important. And when you look back through the day and you've spent time with your family, because that is one of your values and one of your passions, and you have done something that takes action towards your purpose, whether that's through your career or through your relationships, then you feel so much better in the evening. You have so much more energy. It's not, you don't sit down exhausted and thinking about how hard the day was. You're sitting down and thinking about how good it feels to have your life, the life that you are living.
Yes. And I think that is actually, in your view, those are the most effective ways for someone to identify and prioritize, right? Their passions and their sense of purpose.
Yeah, I talk to people about getting clarity about what they truly desire, what their passions are. And I take people through different processes, including meditations, and some of that you can do on your own. You can meditate and just, put your hands on your heart and ask yourself, what brings me joy? What am I truly passionate about? What makes my heart sing? And listen to the answers and pay attention. Notice the things that make you smile throughout the day and keep track of those. So those are some things you can do on your own. And then I also have a free guide that can walk you through some of the questions to help you discover your passions and your purpose. You'll actually end up with a written purpose statement by the end of the guide to help you,
Really?
to help you
So
fall in love with your
now for
life
this
again by
guide,
knowing your purpose.
is it also aligning with their goals and their values as well? Do you tie that in?
I don't do as deep of a dive into the values,
Okay.
because that takes a little bit of time. Usually there's a long list of, you can look up a list of values
Okay.
online and print it
Mhm.
out and go through and circle the ones
Okay.
that excite you. But the process that I take people through first is discovering their passions and then their purpose, and then we talk about, so how do you align that with your values, and then what goals. That's why I'm a soul to goal guide, because
Yes.
at a soul level, who are you, why are you here, what is authentic and true for you, and then how do you create your goals based on who you really are and what really matters to you.
That's amazing. So for our listeners that are listening right now and they're saying, okay, so we have your Go Jam, right? And so now they're thinking, well, thinking probably about the time. Like, so this whole process, is it weeks? Is it months? Is it based on individuals? Like how is it with you and your coaching? Like so that they can actually think, oh, this is something that I can do. So it's not so daunting.
Yeah. So when I work with one-on-one with individuals, I usually recommend over 3 months. We'll meet 6 times. And then in between we do some homework type
Right.
stuff. Soul
Yes,
work. I call
for
it
some
soul work.
soul work, yes, soul work, homework, there's always something to get done in between the time, right?
Right.
Always,
Right.
yes.
Because that time with yourself and going inside yourself is really important. Um, so that's the minimum amount of time that I usually recommend. I do workshops that are 3 hours that can help you discover your passions in the 3 hours. So if you want to participate in a workshop, we do a workshop. I do that about once a quarter, and I do it online, so people can attend from anywhere. And that helps you discover what your passions are, your top 5 passions. We do get that priority done in that workshop. And then I have a course called Inspired Life Blueprint, which is 6 modules that takes you through all these processes as well. So it really depends on the person, how inclined they are to do the work on their own versus having accountability and having a coach guide them through the process. And I can individualize it if I work with someone one-on-one. So
Okay.
one-on-one, I would actually help someone figure out what their underlying beliefs are. And sometimes I hear things that they don't hear. So some of it comes up as we journal or just everyday living, something will pop into our heads and we go, oh, I think that's a limiting belief. But a lot of times it takes someone outside of us to see what that limiting belief really is, or to challenge us to go a little deeper and figure out what's really underneath that belief and why we think that. So I do that with my individual clients. I hear what's not being said, what's beneath what's being said.
Right, what the need is. Now, with your workshop though, for the 3 hours, that actually people will then actually, those that attend actually will get the same purpose as well. Like they will get that same fulfillment. They'll find out their passions and their goals and be able to create their schedules of reflections.
Yes. What
Yes.
I've had prior clients say who have only done the workshop,
Okay.
is that they've used the information for years because it helps them prioritize their day based on, you get a few tools that you take home with you to
Okay.
prioritize your days based on your passions and help you know what to say yes to and what to say no to.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
The yes and the no's. It seems as though we say a lot of I don't know, when it comes to passion, I don't know, it's like the yes and the no, there's like a balancing on that one, right? Sometimes you want to say yes and then really you say no, and maybe you should have said yes instead of the no. Does that resonate there?
Yeah. And I think part of that is when we're not clear about what we really want and why we want it, it's harder to say yes to the great and no to the good so that we can have the great.
So we can have the great, yeah.
Yeah, because there are going to be things that that are like would be fine with it. I'll put it that way. That would be
Yeah.
fine. I wouldn't be unhappy doing that, but it's not really my passion or brings me joy, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so I'll give you an instance for me because I wanted to have a garden, right?
Okay.
Because I thought, oh, growing our own vegetables, that's so important. And, I would know what was in them and all that kind of stuff. And so I made a whole garden, got it all ready, really enjoyed the planting process, the planting and planting, right?
Right.
And really truly did not like at all the weeding, the bugs,
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, the bugs. I was like, And I
Not
tried
for
more.
me.
Yeah, we had like just an inundation of bugs this one year. And what I realized was I did not enjoy the process of gardening.
Oh,
I
okay.
enjoyed the idea of gardening. So
Okay.
I think
Yes.
sometimes we think that something sounds good, but if we don't enjoy the actual process, then it's not one of our passions. So for me, I realized I would rather spend an hour on Saturdays going to the farmers market and supporting our local farmers who are doing this because they do love it. And that's their energy that's going into it. They're putting their passion and their energy into growing all these things and showing up at the farmers market. I would rather support them and show up there than spend hours every day in the garden growing it myself. I'd rather spend that time creating new programs and working with a one-on-one client and doing the things that I'm truly passionate about, making a difference in people's lives than growing my own vegetables. So sometimes we have to realize that something may sound like a good idea. And sometimes we're like a dog with a bone though, and we think we got to keep doing it, like I have to do it or I really should do this. But we end up wasting so much of our time and energy doing that when we could be expressing ourselves in the ways we enjoy expressing ourselves, being with the people that we love being with, and sharing our gifts with the world.
Yes. And I think you just summed it up into the point where you're absolutely correct on how we just have to just look at life at the fullest, right? And take our passions and and learn to say no sometimes. It's hard. It's hard and you always have to say yes, yes, yes. And especially if you're the mom and have the younger kids and there's always that volunteering at school, right? It's like, oh yeah, no, I'll do that. Oh yeah, no, I could do that, in my free time. And then you don't have any free time because you've taken on all these volunteering projects on. And it just accumulates over year after year. So everyone expects you to do the same thing. And then it comes to the point where you're just like exhausted. And I'm sharing that from past experiences.
I
So it's
felt
kind of,
that. I felt that.
right? So just a bit of experience on that one. It's not that I don't love to volunteer at my children's schools, but over time it was like, I need a little bit more, like a little bit more fulfillment. Not that I didn't get that fulfillment, but over the time it was like, you have to kind of change it out. And so I've done, which is fine. But it was a learning process for me. It didn't happen overnight. It
Right.
did take some time to figure out, what I liked about it. And now I can like pick and choose, which is kind of nice. The gardening, I'm glad you shared that with me because I love the garden. Don't get me wrong. And so there was a time where my girls and I, we wanted to do a rose garden. Well, that lasted as quickly as one can say, how long did it take you to buy all the supplies? So it just, so I feel for you on your gardening for the vegetables. We tried to do a rose garden and it looked really pretty, but that's about all she said. That's about all she wrote. Yes. It looked pretty. That's about all. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, our energy is very precious. Our time is very precious because the most important thing is to enjoy the life that we have. And so it's really important to put that focus and attention on the things that bring us joy. And that I'm not going to pretend that we don't still have things that come up that we just get to do because they're part of life. And they may not be in our top 5 passions, right? There are things that we just get to do because it's part of life. And
Right.
there's obstacles and things happen and challenges and, illnesses and something, somebody might really need our attention at a certain time when it wasn't what we had planned. And that's okay. It's that if 80 to 90% of the time you are focused on the things that you love and you are putting your attention on what you do want to create into your life, then the other times are easier because you've built up that reservoir of energy and you know what's possible for you. You're excited about your life. And so when those challenges come, it's easier to write out those challenges and to get back on track with what really does matter and what we do want to put our attention on once we get through that rough patch. And so that's one of the reasons it's so important to know, to have that vision for your life based on your values, your passions, your core desires, and your purpose, because then you know how to get back on track if things get off track.
That's true because a lot of us sometimes when we do get off track, it's trying to find ourselves how to get back on. Right. And that's also a hard switch to get back onto that track. At least that's what I've me personally. So I'm just sharing that with you. Some
Yeah.
of our listeners probably can relate to that too. Once you get derailed, like going to the gym, it's a good example, right? Like you're in the gym, beginning of the year, everyone wants to go to the gym. That's like the new, the New Year's resolution. And then come March, April, kind of like, okay, taking it down a notch. And now you're in the summertime. And, it's just like in the cycles. And I think the gym is a good example about exercising.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you one of my tricks, specifically for the gym. It works for me. I had to do
Oh
it
no,
this
please
morning.
share. Please share. I think we all want to hear about that. So
Well,
please, Laura, share.
I had to do it this morning. It's actually Mel Robbins has the 5-second rule.
Yes, the 5, yes,
Yes, and
yes.
that really works for me. I'll just say, okay, I tell myself my why. Why did I sign up to go to the gym, right? Why did I sign
Right.
up? What is my goal? I want to be able to play with my grandchildren when I have them.
Right. Yes,
And I
that's a
want to
good
have
goal. That's a
energy.
good goal.
Yeah. And have the energy to keep helping women around the world and travel around the world and do retreats around the world. So for me to be in the shape that I want to be in, to give and be present going forward in my life, it's important to do this. So I remind myself of my why, and then I say, okay, you have 5 more seconds, and then it's time to get up. And I just start counting backwards from 5, and I get up. And that helps me every time that I've almost talked myself out of going to the gym to make myself do it. So I really recommend doing that. Just 5 seconds, count backwards from 5, tell yourself you're going to do it. And then when you get to 1, you just hop up and do whatever you told yourself you were going to do.
Exactly. Yes. It's
Commitment.
like that. Yes. No, and it's a commitment. Yes. And or like, just like basically just like put on those sneakers after that 1 second and just be like, there's my sneakers. Now I have no excuse. Let's go. That's it. Sneakers on, socks on, and out the door, right? There you go. Yep. No. But I like that. Mel Robbins, she's amazing when it comes to the inspiration on that 5-second rule. So, the 5, right? No, it's true. Well, thank you so much, Laura. So for our listeners, where can they connect with you?
The best place is at my website, which is www.thrivebyheart.coachesconsole.com. And I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. It's Laura Leighty Wade, LAURA _LEIGHTY _WADE. And then if you want to get the free guide, you'll also be signed up for my newsletter, so you'll know when I am offering workshops and how to access any of the other programs or the individual coaching that you might be interested in.
Okay, wonderful. So I will tag that onto our show notes. Thank you so much, Laura, for joining and taking the time out of your busy schedule, and hope to have you back again. And also enjoy your 4th of July.
All right, you too. Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to Organizing with Ease podcast on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us grow and reach more listeners like you who are passionate about living their best lives. And remember, a new episode comes out every Thursday at 8 a.m. So mark your calendar and join us. Until next week, take care and keep shining bright.